What's up, everyone? It's Brian back with another weekly stats update. This week was a pretty good week. This week, I was challenged a bit about what I really wanted out of trading, whether I just wanted to focus on base hitting and just taking easy money out of the market, or if I wanted to really maximize my skill set as a trader and really push it. And this is what I do. This is what I plan to do for the rest of my life. This is my career. So I've built a system to take money out of the markets relatively easily with without much stress, even though it can be stressful. But I thought I was very frustrated really this month, especially last week. I felt like I wasn't maximizing my potential because I trade continuations. And if you've been looking at ES this past week, we had a lot of continuations. So this week I didn't trade much actually. I really only traded 3 days. I know my stats show that I traded pretty much every day, but I really only traded 3 days this week. I traded Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That was really it. On Tuesday, I actually just had a haircut and I have money in like my Robinhood where I'll just take trades just to pay for everyday expenses. I trade for a living. I might as well have the market pay for my bills and like the little things. And then same thing on Friday. I just made some lunch money. I do it. It's risky because you can lose your money, and then technically whatever you buy can become double the price. But it didn't happen this week. So let's get into the stats. Monday, I took two shorts. I actually took one during the New York session and one during Asia. So this was my short during the New York session. So I got in. Actually, I got in counter trend. We were pretty bullish off the open, but the overall hourly time frame showed that we still had some downside to go. So I waited for 67, 68 to get tested. If you guys have been following in like these last two videos, this level is either we break above and we go crazy high, or we reject it or fall below and we just sink. So I waited, we overshot it, and then this is on the 5 minute chart. The market created my continuation, my rejection continuation pattern, or it's all right now, but I'm not editing this out. So the market rejected 67, 68. I got in short with my stop loss at 67.80. That stop loss was on the hourly chart. That was like the 5 a.m. high, the top wick. That was the last lower high on the hourly chart. If the market were to break that, then we were technically in a long conditions, and then I can get long. But because we never broke that and we rejected 67, 68, I got short. Now, this trade was a bit frustrating. This was kind of that trade that made me really like think about what do I want out of the markets, because I got an easy 1R, easy clean 1R. This is like less than 10 minutes. I got short less than 10 minutes. I was at take profit one, and I was up $266. $260 in 10 minutes. It's a pretty good thing. But I've been working on really maximizing my gains. So I've been looking for 1.5, 2R, sometimes 3R, depending on how volatile we are. The market chops around for like 45 minutes straight after I've already hit TP1. I didn't take any profits. Now we chop around, and this right here, we overshoot it, start to push higher. We reject the VWAP and we reject the psychological level. But in that type of conditions, it's like, okay, the trend is kind of bottoming out. This may reverse higher. So I ended up just getting out at 1R, $260. Great. But I was a bit upset because like I didn't have to sit 45 minutes to get 1R. If I've sat in this trade, I want it to be worth it. So like at least getting like 1.5. And this is actually why I put 1.5 here, because I was like trying to see, can I at least get it here to test this daily level? And we came down. There was so much buying pressure in this on the DOM that when it shot up and then it came down, I was like, forget it, I got out. And literally, as soon as I got out, that's when the dump happens. Like right here, real good 5-minute chart. Right here. I get out here. The very next candle we flush straight to TP2. That was frustrating. So then we have, just go about my day. And we have the group coaching call with Strong Trading. And I was challenged on that call. And Lawrence asked me pretty much, what do I want out of the market? Because I built a system, I know my edge, but do I want to be the guy that's just taking cheap base hits, one and done, getting out of the market and going about my day? Or do I want to maximize my skills and really start holding for these bigger moves? And I'm the type of person where I need to be working towards something. If I'm not working towards something, I don't feel good like mentally, because I feel like I'm stagnating and like I'm drifting. I hate that feeling. So I'm always working towards something or always pushing my edge. So at that point, we have the group coaching call. I take a walk and I'm like, now is the time, especially in these conditions where we're extremely volatile. Now's the time. If I'm going to push it, I need to start pushing my edge. And then I traded Asia, which I'm so glad I did, because traded Asia and I made like $500 on this trade. This was like picture perfect breakdown setup. This was at like, what is 2,300? What would that be? 10, 11 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't know. It was late. But I'm looking at the charts and we break down below 66, 62, this daily level. And the way this momentum, like when you have a huge flush candle, no wick on the top, no wick on the bottom, sellers are fully in control. I see that. And we're breaking through this yesterday's low, which was that same night's low, same day's low. I'm like, okay, the momentum is going to carry this all the way through to 66.50. I know it's not 66.50 here, but it's 66.50 as the psychological level. I'm like, momentum's going to carry this through. So I got in, I put my risk, and I let this trade just run straight to TP2, and I made $500 off the trade. So all in all, on Monday, made $700, almost $800. Great Monday. Now, Tuesday, I had some things to do in the morning. I actually had to get a haircut like early in the morning, so I decided not to trade. The whole reason behind me learning how to trade was to take control of my time and my freedom. If I don't have to trade, I'm not going to trade. And that's actually where my system thrives. My system thrives when we're trending and I just get in and I maximize it. So these cheap base hits that I've been doing, they were good for a time based on where I was in my journey as a trader. Especially earlier this year, I was working on transitioning to full-time trading. So those base hits are great to help for income-wise, and you want some stability. But now I'm in a point in my journey where I need to start pushing it forward. I don't want this to just become a high-paying job. I want this to be something that I'm able to like take care of, like my family, my generations, generational wealth. That's what we all building towards. But pretty much, I didn't trade Tuesday. I actually just took like a SPY put. It was just pretty much like a YOLO. Like I paid for my haircut, and then I looked at the charts, and I was like, you know what? I'm sure I can get about 50, 60 bucks out of this real quick just to cover my haircut. And then I ended up making like $79. I don't recommend doing it unless you're like, I don't recommend doing it. That's just something I do. I make my money from the market. So sometimes like little things like that, I try to just pay for my things with that. Now, Wednesday was a pretty challenging day during the New York session. So this is the hourly chart. So I'm watching on the hourly chart that the market sends 60 points in 1 hour off the open. I trade continuations. So I'm looking at the DOM and I see orders just coming and coming and coming in. I'm like, all right, orders are coming in. I got to get long. I can't get short in a situation like this when we have this. Actually, on the, if I can, let me see if I can pull it up this way better. Okay, so this was the idea behind the trade. This is the 1 hour chart. The day before Tuesday, the day I didn't trade, we kind of bottomed out, sideways action. We created a low, then overnight, we created a higher low. This is on the hourly chart. Now at the open, they try to send it lower. Sellers get in, they try to send it lower. We fail to go lower, and then we rip higher, creating this huge outside candle, bullish outside candle. Now, after having a move like that, it's not perfect, but we're going long. I'm not going to take a short in that position, even though the market was really bearish. So I get in long. Now, I don't really have anywhere to put my risk, but I know I want to be involved in this position. So I end up just taking 1 micro, like super small. That's 1 micro is the lowest they let you take. I take 1 micro and I put my stop loss at low a day. And I just like, hey, if I'm wrong, I'll be out at low a day, $300 loss. I'll move on. But if I'm right, this could probably go to 6,800. So it was worth, or yeah, 6,800, 67.50, 6,800. Actually, I think my target was 67.55. So I'm like, okay, this can go. It started to work for me a bit, and then it kind of rolled over. At this point, this is like 11 o'clock. We're coming at 11 o'clock. I'm like, this might be dead, and I might get stopped out. But I made a decision not to interrupt my positions, so I sat in the trade. I stayed in it for a bit, and we ended up getting stopped out. But the market based, and then we rallied as soon as the market closed. This was during that after NVIDIA's earning and everything, the market rallied. So being early is the same thing as being wrong. Maybe I could have like adjusted my stop loss. Maybe I could have got in a bit lower, like on the break of this 8 a.m. high, and then had my stop down here. But that's all hindsight. So I took that loss, but I trusted my system. So this was just a probability-based loss. Nothing wrong with that. Now, I end up trading Asia. I don't have a picture for this because it's just kind of one of those intuition moments. So I see we start rallying higher, and I get in. I start to get in. I trade Asia, and I end up making about $146 during the Asian session. So I ended up cutting that $300 loss for the day down to about 147. And then there was Thursday. This was the last official trading day. I took 2 positions. So the first position, I got in short. No, I'm sorry. I got in long. Yeah. So I got in long. Just continuation. This is off of that whole bullish hysteria move. We're already like up 100 points. Like we're way overextended. So I got in just on a breakout play. On breakout plays, I just target the 1R just because since it's a breakout, there's less likelihood it'll continue to 2R. It can, but my system I've noticed is just going to be like 1. You maybe a 1.5. I was really trying to get like 67, which would have been like almost 1.5R in between this area because there was an hourly wick up here. So I got in long at 67, 77, 50 breakout, and this is above that weekly China level. So I'm pretty confident in this position. We rally, price goes higher. I scale out 4 or 5 of my contracts. I lock in those gains, and then I just move my stop loss to break even. Like I'm having a pretty good week, moving stop loss to break even, and I'm just waiting to see if we can make a move into 6,800 at least. Price pulls back, stops me out. Then, if you guys have been watching the market, we had that crazy bull trap, and the market just dumped, just a straight dump. From that point, when I had got, yeah, so I was in it here. This is the second trade of the day. This is actually a short. I was in it here. The market came, stopped me out. Great. We went a little bit higher, but we never really went to the 2R, so that was a great exit. Then we dumped 100 points in an hour. And I didn't know how far this could go. I didn't know if this was going to sink straight to China or if we were going to find a bounce support. So I just took a system play. I just got in a short at 67.50, just look for a 1R base hit, just the same thing. It's a breakout, but a breakdown. You know, I have my stop loss. I try to keep myself real tight on this because this move, we could probably bounce like crazy. So at the top of this candle, put a stop loss, 67.57, and then I took the 1R target at 67.43. Now, this was the trade I should have held. When I got out, this thing continued to sell for over 100 points. I think this day was like what, 200 point down move. 6791. Yeah, about 250 points straight down. This was the day to hold the position. And these are the days my system is built around. I just have not been capitalizing because I've been focused on these base hits. So I finished up the week, good week, you know, and then Friday I just kind of same thing, just took a stab at the market. I wanted lunch, I wanted something to eat, and I ended up just making like $30 just to get some food. And after doing my review session, this is a good week. It's a great week. You know, stats are getting better. My performance anxiety is down. Like, I'm not super nervous doing these videos, knowing I have to review. So I do my review, and then I come up with some takeaways for this week. No. This is my metal hand history. Let me see my notes. Okay. Oh, well, I might as well show you guys. So I do a metal hand history. This is today. I did this morning. This is Sunday. But pretty much I do like a metal hand history breakdown of pretty much what like an issue. I got this from Jared Tendler, actually. His book is like The Mental Game of Trading. Plays a big part of my trading psychology and how I continue to review and reinforce. So pretty much, you guys, I'm not going through all this, but you guys can pause it and read it, and it can definitely be something that you guys can use, you know. But pretty much, I see whatever problems I have that I've made throughout the week, and then I break it down. I got this template from him. I break it down into why do I have that problem? Because there's a reason you have problems. We all have problems when we're trading for some reason. And a lot of the time it could be you're just scared, you're greedy, you know, you don't have a system. There's a lot of things that can go into an issue. And I've learned that this mental hand issue is a great way to break it down and to actually fix it in like proven steps. I actually have the same issue this week as I had last week. My stats are better. My stats are better than last week, but I'm still having an issue where I'm not holding my trades fully. So pretty much I go through the detail of why I do it, you know, because there's a reason. Like, I try to get profits and lock in as quickly as possible. This is good because it's a side release and positive equity curve in my system. So it's a good problem. But the logic is flawed in that because it brings down my overall expectancy. So as a trader that's working on my skill set and developing my skills, even if I make money, that can still be a problem. Because if I'm making money, but I'm not maximizing the money I'm making, that's an issue. Another issue is the money itself. Because we're thinking of money as we trade, we tend to be very fearful when we have a green trade. We don't want to lose that money because you know what that money can do for you. You know, if you're up $500 in like 10, 20 minutes, you don't want to lose that $500. You're like, oh man, this is a great day. But if your system says you should have held it for 2 or 3R, and instead of making 500, you would have made 1,000, you would have made 1,500. That's a flaw in your system, and that's something I noticed because I'm making positive trades, but it's still a flaw. So even as I make money or I'm getting winning trades, I'm always looking to redefine the edge, refine my edge. So that, and then I pretty much just come up with a correction. So I pretty much only watch on the hourly chart. I step away from the charts after putting my positions on, and I set alerts. That's something that's like that right there. That set and forget. That is something that if every trader just created a bigger picture game plan, stuck to their stop loss, take profits, and just walked away, that'll fix so many of your trading errors. Like I've been stepping away from my computer like all week. Like I'll put my position in and I actually physically get up and go walk my dog. Like I'll leave my phone, I'll leave everything just so I'm not in front of the screen and I'm not over analyzing it. And then yeah, pretty much you explain why that correction is correct, of why you're going to be fixing it. And then I just go into it. You know, for me specifically, it reduces the emotional fatigue from watching every tick and trying to guess the next move. Since I trade on a bigger time frame, watching the 5-minute chart is great for entries, but it just provides too many signals. So if I see a signal that's counter to my position, it just kind of messes me up, and that's why I interrupt my trades. So I know I said I wasn't going to go into it, but here's a kind of a good way to reinforce the mental game of your trading. And if you guys want me to make it like a full video on how I go into finding what mental issues I need to work on, I can do that too. Because this is just like an after statement. So, but these are my takeaways for this week, guys. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to set a goal, and then I'm going to update you guys as I do that goal. So just 2 big takeaways. Less is more. I've noticed with my system, when I don't trade every day, I actually make more money. It's, if there's no trend or we're basing, we're bottoming out, there's really no reason for me to be in a market because I don't trade reversals. I'm not playing the edges. I'm literally just getting in while we're dumping, getting in while we're rallying. That's it. And if we're not rallying or dumping and we're just sideways movement or, you know, testing an extreme and returning to median, I really shouldn't be in those positions. So less is more. And I need to let these positions run. I know I said it last week, but Thursday really showed exactly what can happen in a trending market. We had a 100-point move in 1 hourly candle in an hour, over 100 points. I need to be ready for that. And the only way I'm going to be ready for that is by trading less and just focusing on what fits my criteria. So moving forward, the goal that I'm going to have and that I've been working on, that I'm going to continue to work on, is I'm actually going to keep my 1R targets. Since my edge plays out 75 to 80% of the time, that's the base. That's the base hit. I have to lean into that to actually maximize my expectancy. So instead of taking the 1Rs, what I plan to do is I'll take the 1R and then I'll move my stop loss and trail it. And I'll just manage the rest of the position discretionarily. I'll just manage the position as it's working. So there's a couple management styles that I like to do. I like to do bar by bar on the 5-minute charts. I'm probably going to stay away from that for right now, just because I don't want to get sucked back into watching every 5-minute candle. And structurally, so as we create higher lows or lower highs in my favor, I'll trail my stop. I'll trail my stop in profits. I'm just completely going to be removing my profit targets. I'll know, obviously, when I get to 1R, when I get to 2R, I'll still have them on my charts, but I'm not going to have limit orders in place for that. I'm just going to let the position run. And if I have to put a trailing stop in and just let that baby run. I'm just gonna let that baby run. And that's what I'm gonna be focused on. And I'm gonna show you guys next week how I do it. Yeah. So that was my week as a whole. It was a pretty good week. I actually reached my system expectancy this week for the first time all month. You know, 80%, 81%, almost 82% win rate, 9 trades, only lost 2. This was a good week. When I trade and only focus on my system, I get results. But now it's time to just maximize this and push this as far as I can. So yeah, that's the video. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want me to do a video on how I find my mental issues or my performance issues, I can do a review on that too. And I can just show you guys. We can go in depth about it. Yeah. So that's my week. And if you notice, all my trades are pretty much just SPY and ES. Like I stick to one. I stick to one instrument. I'm an S&P trader. That's it. That's my bread and butter. I stuck to that. That's something that probably will never change. But yeah, that's the end. Peace.